Okay, I've uh, I've started a little earlier today. Let me know if you can hear me well. Hello, Super Seamster. Let me know. I've got a big fan on. Let me know if it's too noisy, or else I'll turn it off. Okay, I'll keep the fan on. If there's a problem, I can turn it off with the remote. Just wait for people to come in. Have a chat before we go into the subject today. So we've got Dave. Hi, Dave. Bowman. Yeah, I am a little early. Why not? About 10 minutes early. Mike N from Canada. Music lover forever. Hi, Laura. Jen West. Dave L. Volume is okay. That's good. Yeah. Oh, you don't hear the fan? That's very good because it's noisy. But I'm glad it's not disrupting the sound. I don't know if you guys watched. I posted an interview I did with Arpad. That's the guy who runs Star Path Academy. It's almost an hour interview, and we talk about his experiences in Romania with the economic collapse during the 90s with hyperinflation. And one of the things he said that I think is interesting is that we shouldn't be in fear of it, that we should just, just try to live as normally as possible and have a close-knit community. So I thought that was good advice. Johnny Boy Silver, first time to comment here. Welcome, Johnny Boy Silver. Keep calm, keep cool. I'm sorry, I cannot read. Sorry, I don't know the Arabic alphabet. I'm sorry about that, but I can read what you're saying. Thomas, hi, Thomas from West New York. Yeah, so no one can hear the fan. That's good. South Carolina is in the house. Crazy Legs from Australia. It's Monday there already. Billy is here, as you can see. He's doing well. We went for a walk this morning. I didn't walk him as long because it's been a hot day today here in London. La Jolla, Southern California. William Birkin Road. Yeah, I was in La Jolla many years ago. First time was 40 years ago. My dad took me to play the Optimus Junior World Golf Championship at Torrey Pines. Beautiful place, La Jolla. Black's Beach, right by the golf course. I heard some stories about that beach. Don't know if it's still the same. Quit Addiction says gold, Bitcoin, and silver only. John Eddie Murphy. Hi, John. Nikolai Setkov from Bulgaria. Great to see people from everywhere. Houston, Bulgaria, Australia, Derbyshire, Quit Addiction. Thank you, Norman Burton. Try my best. Yeah, there's a lot going on here in the UK. Probably not as bad as in the US, it seems. They're really trying to, well, I'll wait a little longer. The title of this live stream, of course, is More Economic Lockdowns in order to stop inflation, question mark. Or maybe it's just their plan to bring the economy down. It's very confusing what's going on, but it definitely looks like tomorrow's supposed to be Freedom Day here in the UK, but they're already taking our freedoms away even before it starts. Low supplies in stores cause price inflation? Dave asked. No, it's too much money chasing too few goods that causes prices to rise. Yes, maybe supply chain problems do that, but in the end of the day, it's when the central bank and the government print too much money. Shane Sturgis from East Sussex. Tom Janicki, Hanoi City has gone into an extended lockdown. Yeah, I'm reading a lot about this. I have a kind of a antenna for BS from the powers that be, and it just feels like they're bringing in another crisis here. It could be different from last year. Yeah, it's difficult to say. And I think it in the States, it seems like you guys are back to normal, but I also hear that the Democrats and like Fauci, they want to do what France is doing. We're going to talk about France as well. There's an interesting video from Luke Radowski about what's going on there. MM26 says Brits have no guns, you're sitting ducks. Well, Americans, yeah, you guys do have the Second Amendment, but it hasn't. I guess that probably has helped you a bit, but there's still, you're still not out of the woods, I would say. And I hope that, I think it will be very difficult though, and I'm not saying you should do this. If we go back into lockdowns in Europe and the rest of the world, it will be very hard for America to resist, because last year you guys did the same. I hope you don't. I hope you're a beacon of freedom in the world. $5 for a hamburger. Yeah, everything is getting more expensive, or the currencies all around the world are losing more and more value. And that's why we're seeing people rising up in countries like Cuba, South Africa, France. And I wouldn't be surprised, you know, people are already protesting here. They're getting unhappy. And we're hearing a lot here now because we've had this pingdemic. They're testing people here more than all the other European countries put together. And I think, yes, they're sending a lot of people home from work. So we're being told now that there could be food shortages, that some supermarkets are closing some of their stores. So I think they're bringing something pretty bad down the pipeline, and I think it's not far away, unfortunately. Chris, how can we have lockdowns again? 7% of the people got the jab here in Canada already. Chris, there's so many things that don't make sense, and I've gotten tired of saying all those things, but I don't think it's going to make any difference if people got, you know, this government or medical procedure that the government is trying to force people to get. It won't make any difference. The UK is one of the countries that has had the most, you know, percentage-wise of this medical procedure. And we're getting more and more cases. So I wouldn't put it past them that this medical procedure actually makes you get the disease again. So yeah, don't think it all makes sense. That's all I would say. So it's 9 o'clock. So we're gonna start here. I guess I already started. The title, of course, is that I have a feeling, and The UK, yeah, it used to be an empire, British Empire, used to run the world, but I think it still has a lot of influence. Not that I'm bragging or anything, but what people do here, what the government does here, you can bet it's going to be done most probably even in the US and other countries. It's all part of a plan of the people who run the West and the world. So it feels more and more that we're gonna get another crisis. They're pushing that Professor Ferguson again in the news. So I'm gonna share with you guys a few things. There are a few encouraging things happening in the world. For example, let's see here. Let's get out of here. Let's do this again. So here we go. I'm not going to play the video. It's from We Are Change, Luke Rodasky. So these are the protests in France, and we're not hearing any of this in the mainstream media here or in the US or anywhere else. The reason Luke has all these videos is because I remember he was there a few years ago covering the yellow vests, and they're still around, as you can see here. And he's got contacts there, and they're sending him all these videos. So we notice here that the police are joining in France. They're joining in the protesters. I think that's a bad sign. Not for freedom, but for the government in France, because when the police start joining the protesters, you can bet that's a bad sign for law and order, for the credibility of the government and the state. So I just wanted to show you that there. Let's get rid of that. I've got some more stuff to show you. So, and so is it a coincidence as well that tomorrow being Freedom Day, we're starting to see this happening? So we now have 3 of the top ministers in the UK government, the Chancellor, the Prime Minister, the Health Secretary. They've all gone into isolation. They're all justifying these NHS apps. And if you scroll down in this article here, this is what concerns me. It says the move comes as food retailers and producers warned of food shortages and price increases as acute staff shortages due to workers isolating begin to put pressure on the supply chain. So actually, they might lock us down again, and it might not stop food prices going up. It might actually increase it. So I think it's a total mess. It says Iceland, the supermarket group, said it had been forced to close stores due to a sharp spike in staff absences. Restaurants operators said they were limiting menus because of shortages. Marks and Spencer said it would have to limit opening hours if staff shortages increase. So what would I do if I was running, if I was the prime minister? Well, I would scrap this NHS app right away and get back to normal. But unfortunately, that's not what they're going to do. That's not their agenda. John Flynn, thank you for your super chat. What do you reckon the chances of going back into full lockdown in UK and Ireland are by late September, early October? 100%, John, 100%. Unfortunately, well, I'll say 95 because nothing is certain, but yeah, 95%. And what the feeling I get right now, and I don't know why I think like that. That's just the way I'm wired from observing, reading, looking at economics, mass psychology. I feel that whatever they do now, here in the UK or Ireland. Hi, Bjorn. Bjorn Andres Buhansen's here. Nice to see you. Yeah. So whatever they do, the government now, even if they were to come out and say, we're going to forget 2020 and 21 ever happened, we're going to go back to normal. Everyone, get out there and live your life. There would be a massive amount of proportion of the population that would be terrified of that and would be really angry with the government. And of course, there would be a silent majority almost, I would say, or a silent, pretty big minority, like people hopefully that watch this channel, that would be very happy. So I think whatever the government does now, they've divided people so much, and that's what they want is there's gonna be trouble, and that's not a good thing. Am I scared? No, we just have to keep living our lives. Hopefully by now, a lot of you have set yourselves up, try to get out of debt, try to be healthy, try to have some savings. Yes, live within your means. That's what I've been trying to tell people for the last 5 or 6 years. So I'm not concerned about all this. It's actually interesting watching it. And hopefully, I don't know what's going to happen, but things are getting crazy. So let's look at some of your questions. So let's take this out of here. Lizzie R says it's called mass psychosis induced by fear, no cure, the use of our money against us. That's right. And that's one of the reasons why I try not to participate in the fiat currency system. Yeah, of course, I have to have some fiat currency balances to pay my bills, but I try to stay away, because by having fiat currency, you're actually financing this mechanism. You're actually financing this machinery. Yeah, someone spoke about mascot psychosis. There's a really good book, and it was written in the 1800s by Charles Mackay, and it's called Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds. So I think that's what we're experiencing right now, unfortunately. It's not just about financial bubbles. It's about many other things that, the crowd and the public, yeah, it's a mad psychosis. They buy into things. It's not only the Mississippi scheme, the South Sea bubble, but it's also the witch mania. What else do they talk about? They talk about popular follies of great cities, popular admiration of great thieves. I mean, everything. Now there's I guess, popular admiration of these scientists that are telling us what to do. These crazy people like Neil Ferguson. Bjorn Andres Buhansen says, I feel that stocking up on food is also a good thing financially because of the coming. Yeah, I think so too. And I think we could actually, the way they're scaring people, because the FT is a serious newspaper, and they're talking about food shortages. So I definitely think there's an agenda. It's an orchestrated food shortage, because we didn't need to have all these people isolating. They're not even, they're healthy, but they get pinged by this app and they have to stay at home. Of course, they can take a test to see if they have the disease, but it's so complicated. Yeah, it's a mess. But as I said, I think it's a plan. Super Seamster, living within your means is what time it is. Yeah. Yeah, I think food is not the only thing that we need to be concerned a little bit about, but also like Arpad from Star Path Academy is said, you need to have know people within your community, make friends, help each other out. And also other things that you need every day, like clothes. You got to make sure you have enough clothes, because in Romania, they had nothing at one point after the collapse of the communist regime. And we don't have a communist regime, but it looks like we could have loads of lockdowns and everything shutting down. So nowadays, yeah, we don't stop things up anymore because everything is so easy and convenient. So just show you here that it's not just the FT that's reporting this. It's also, of course, the Daily Mail. It says Pingdemic hits Marks and Spencer's, rail services, National Trust House, MOT booking, and businesses across the UK. So yeah, so you see Pingdemic chaos, but the government says they're not going to stop this NHS app. They might review it in a few months. I mean, if this is causing a problem in the last weeks, and they're going to keep it for the next few months as it is, then the only thing I can think is that, yeah, this is being done by design and it's on purpose, unfortunately. Stephanie Sluzas says, I'm very afraid. Well, that's the other thing, that you shouldn't be is afraid, because you know what's happening. Yeah, we can't live in fear. We just have to try to live as normally as possible. And one thing that Star Path Academy told me after we had the interview is to basically ignore everything. Try to ignore as much as possible this fear mongering and live your life normally. They hate that. So that's good advice from Arpad. I thought he was telling me about where he lives in the States. I'm not going to tell where he lives, but he said people there didn't care, and there's virtually no lockdown in the state that he lives. Zeet from the Netherlands. Hi, Zeet. Nice to see you here. Yeah, so I'll take questions now. I'll stop talking. And if you guys want to ask questions, I'll try to answer as many as possible. Rumpelstiltskin says, yes, turn off. Yeah, it's difficult to turn completely off. Norm, I think the lockdowns are causing more price increases because of lack of supply. Yeah, and also because the government has provided all this stimulus. They've given people money for nothing as well. That doesn't help, because if people didn't have money, they wouldn't be buying as many things. Inflation is purely a monetary phenomenon. And maybe I think a lot of the lack of supply is that producers, they see the writing on the wall and they're holding it back. SI plays guitar. UK state pension getting 8% rise. Well, this is an interesting subject, because in 2010 or 11, I think 2011, the conservative government passed this law, or called the triple lock. So it said that the state pension would rise by at least 2.5%. And if the CPI was higher than 2.5%, they used the CPI. And if average earnings were higher than 2.5% and the CPI, they would use the average earnings. So the problem they got this year, I think they used the July number from last year, from July to this July, and average earnings have gone through the roof. because people, quite a lot of people have gone back to work after the lockdowns last year. So they're calculating that average earnings will have gone up from July last year to July this year by around 8%. So according to the government's triple lock rule, they'd have to increase the state pension by 8%. And that would put a huge dent on their finances. But they're going to change the rules. They're going to, of course, not give pensioners such a great deal. That's what governments do. They always help the bankers and the big corporations, but not the people that vote for them. So unfortunately, the triple lock is probably going to be watered down. Let's see what we've got here. So yeah, I'll show you here the situation. Financial situation is getting even worse in the UK, and that's not me saying it. That's the Telegraph. Sunak, that's the Chancellor of the Exchequer. He's the equivalent of the Treasury Secretary. Sunak faces 10 billion blow from surging inflation. And this has got nothing to do with the pensions. This is to do now with some government securities like the TIPS, inflation protected securities. People expect the RPI and the CPI to go up to like 4%, and that's going to put another dent. So it's a nightmare. And with them talking about more lockdowns in the UK, it's going to make it even worse. I think the central banks and the governments are ready to do more stimulus, especially if they lock countries down again. So I'll show you here there's an article here in Zero Hedge. UK government minister suggests new lockdown before the current one has even ended. So there you go. This is not me speaking. Yeah, breaking news. Solicitor General tells Sky the government will look at restrictions if infections continue to rise. So infections, what does that mean? These are just positive cases. This is not even necessarily people being ill. So anyway, this is the crazy world we live in. So let's look at some of your questions. What collapse comes first? Yeah, I think it's the bank and the money first. And then when people lose faith and confidence in the banks and the currency, then the government collapses. They all happen pretty much together, I would say. Who can you vote for? They do not run anything now. It's just a club. Well, there's a note saying if voting mattered, it would be illegal. So yeah, I never really vote. Maybe in the local elections, but not even that. It doesn't really matter who you vote for. David Bradley, I don't like US tips because it's based on a manipulated index, the CPI, and the Federal Reserve buys tips and manipulates it. I think it's a worthless piece of junk. It's paper, it's treasuries. I wouldn't touch them. You would be financing the same people, you'd be financing the government. If you want to do that, fine. But I'll stick to gold and silver. Don't trust any government paper, and never have, never will. Lily Robin, yes, people on fixed income, they're going to get screwed because governments, with the triple lock, they're supposed to raise it by 8%, but they're not. They're going to raise it probably below the rate of inflation. So yeah, it's like a fallacy. The Keynesians say, oh, inflation's good because wages keep up. No, but you get 10, 15% inflation and wages going up 3%. You're still losing 10 to 12%. Susan Faust says Texas may secede from the Union. Well, Texas is the only state that joined the Union by treaty. And I think that Treaty of Guadalupe, I think it has to be signed every year on the 1st of January. It's like, or else Texas becomes a republic again, independence. It's possible, who knows? Does Prince Charles pay tax? Uh, Probably not. I mean, he probably, I'm not sure, but it doesn't make sense because the taxes are collected for his mother, right? But I think he might pay some tax, but I'm sure he has very good accountants and lawyers, and he's got a lot of his property in trust. That's how they do it, put everything in trust. Finding Keno like the Pilgrim Society info. Yeah, it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I think it's quite interesting. The banks will go on holiday just like they did in 1933. That's possible because now here in the UK, they're talking about all these businesses having to close down because of this pandemic, and they could use that excuse for the banks. And if you've got a lot of money in there, when they reopen, that money could be the Brit coin, and it could be worth maybe a tenth of what it is now. Who knows? So yeah, as I've said, try to get out of the system as much as possible. Batman Robin, no, there is no unrest in the UK yet. We've had some demonstrations, some big demonstrations in London in the last month or two, but nothing really violent or, yeah, nothing like in South Africa or Cuba yet. Yeah, Xander, I do have Tragedy and Hope. I have read some of it, but I haven't finished. It's a big book. Super Seamster, have you heard of Reiner Fulmick? Yes, I have. I've been following him since last year. I've been following also Dr. David Martin. He's very interesting. Store tobacco as food trade. That's a good, that's interesting. You know, in Germany after World War II, cigarettes were like a currency. You know, people used it to barter for a lot of things. Bobby 8270, silver sovereign, 10 pounds. I never heard of a silver sovereign. I've heard of a gold sovereign. I don't know what a silver sovereign is. Maybe you could enlighten me. Van Leer, would you sell gold points to pay 6,000 debt or wait? I mean, if you can service the debt, I'd probably wait. I'd probably wait. You know, if it was if you're having trouble servicing it and it could put you in trouble, I would get rid of it. But yeah, try to maybe keep servicing it and keep your gold. That's what I would do. Graham Hump says the lawsuits are on their way. Well, I listened to that German guy, Fumick, and some other people, and they said that even the judges and the lawyers are scared to represent these cases. So we'll have to wait and see. Let's hope that it does bring the truth out. Oh, Bobby 8270, Royal Mint has advertised it on your channel. Let's have a look. Let me Google silver sovereign. It's weird because the sovereign is a gold coin. They confusing silver sovereign coin. 10 pounds, huh? No, that's not it. Let's silver sovereign. Does it say, the weight of the coin? If you give me the weight and the purity, I can tell you whether 10 pounds is a good price. But I can't even find it when I Google it. And it might have been another mint. Was it the London Mint? I don't think it's the Royal Mint. There's the Mint office. These people, they're not the Royal Mint. So you gotta be careful. They look credible. The London Mint office, yeah, that's right. Let's see, I think it's them. Oh yeah, yeah, I wouldn't deal with those people. That's not, you see, this is what it is here. I'll show it to you. This is not the Royal Mint. This is not a Royal Mint coin. It's the, let's bring that back up. What's going on? Okay. There you go. That's it. You see, that's not a coin minted by the Royal Mint. It's minted by the London Mint office. The London Mint office has nothing to do with the Royal Mint. Yeah, and I don't know. I wouldn't buy anything from these people. I'm sorry that it showed on my advert. Well, it's about the same weight as a gold sovereign. So it's the equivalent of over 40 pounds per ounce. So yeah, I wouldn't buy an ounce of silver for 40 pounds. You can get it cheaper. Hope that helps, Bobby. Mr. Morris from Bromley, the coin and metal dealer, he told me that the London Mint office is actually owned by a big German company. So it's a German company running this scheme. What do you think of Cliff High's recent interview on USA Watchdog? I haven't watched it. I haven't watched that interview. I assume it's Cliff High, right? Not Cliff Hyde. His name is, let's see, because I don't know what Cliff High. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't watched Greg Hunter's channel because is he on BitChute or Rumble now? Because he's not on YouTube anymore. So that's the bad thing about the censorship. A lot of people, I haven't watched them for a while. Legia Carolina McLaughlin, what do you think about gold pesos? Is that the Mexican? I mean, any gold coin is fine. It doesn't matter where it's from. If you're in the UK, if you're going to buy a big amount of gold, I still recommend sovereigns because they're coins of the realm. But if you're going to buy a couple of those, there's no problem. Gold, Gold is the same everywhere in the world, so silver. What do you think about the total stock of dollars or pounds? Yeah, they're growing massively. You know, M1 has grown a lot in the last 16 months, pounds as well. Just par says gold is white sometimes. Yeah, white gold is basically gold with silver on it. My wedding ring is white gold, 18 karat, but it's white gold. Why are gold and silver miners getting slammed? Uh, it's difficult to say. I mean, yeah, they've been hit particularly hard, despite the fact that gold and silver have, you know, they've held relatively well. But I think there's a lot of earnings coming out this week for the miners. I think the big Newmont and Barrick. So that might help them, because I think the miners are still making a lot of money with gold at $1,800 or so. Norman Burton, thank you for your super chat. Mario, tell people to buy gold and silver with their stimulus, I guess. Um, well, you know, I try not to tell people what to do. I tell them what I think and what I do, and what the system is, what's happening to the system, and it's up to them to decide. But yeah, I haven't gotten a penny from the government. I've been paying quite a bit of tax the last 2 years. So I don't have any stimulus to buy gold and silver, but if I did, I would. That's a good way to give them two fingers, right, to the government. Is it better to have numismatic gold or bullion to protect your wealth? Bullion is the best, really. You can buy numismatic, but that doesn't, the price there doesn't move as, you know, doesn't move like the gold price. Numismatic it's not as a liquid market, and it's not as easy to buy or sell. It's not as transparent, because you have to know a lot about the coins, their condition, how rare they are. So I would stick to bullion. Desiree Negron, thank you for your super chat. No, that's not V for victory. That's in England, that means two fingers is not a nice thing. It's like giving the middle finger. That's what V for victory is this way. This way is up yours in the UK. Another 3.5 trillion in the US of spending. Yes. Here in the UK, I don't know if they're going to be able to increase, you know, the fiscal spending when they lock us down again. They might, but we don't have the major reserve currency, and even the U.S. is. I think foreigners are moving away from the dollar, especially if they keep bringing in these stimulus. Stephanie Schluzash, thank you for your insight and advice. And thank you for your super chat, Stephanie. Sorry if I butchered your surname. It sounds Eastern European, though, I would say. Sovereigns or 1 ounce Britannias? I think either one. I prefer the sovereigns, but I do have some Britannias. They're fine, but I think sovereigns are more convenient. And yeah, yeah, Bjorn Andreas Bullhenson, the English archers would do that to the French. Yeah, that was at Agincourt, at the Battle of Agincourt. They would go like that. Bjorn knows his history. The Federal Reserve propping up the British pound. Yeah, they have been SW with dollar swaps. They've been doing it for over a year. Not only the British pound, but all the other currencies, major currencies, they've got open swap lines. All that does is weaken the dollar as well. And I think that those swap lines are still open. Yeah, London Mint office, I wouldn't deal with them. And I'm sorry that they advertise on my channel. I can't control who advertises on it. If precious metals get very high in value, who would you buy it from? What coin store would pay 5,000 for an ounce of gold? Dealers would, because what you have to understand, Angel Soul, is that, like, let's say you go to a car dealer and they sell a Rolls Royce for $200,000, you know, or you sell your Rolls Royce to a car dealer for $200,000. They'll buy it, but they'll sell it to someone else who's buying. So, yeah, if gold's trading for $5,000, it doesn't matter. You know, the people, the coin stores or the dealers, they're just dealers. They're not buying. They might, some of them might buy for themselves, but they're just like making a market. They buy and sell, and they make a little, you know, they make a spread. That's how they make their living. Yeah, so they'll be very busy if gold's at 5,000. So you have no problem selling it. If you want to sell it, I'd try to hold on to it. Mr. Boston, thank you for your super chat. France has police and firemen protesting. Yeah, yeah, I spoke about that earlier in this live stream. And I showed a video of Luke Radowski. He had a video from Paris, and they're joining in. That's a bad sign when the police join in with the protesters. IL Prepper, did South Africa shut the gold mines down like the refineries? Jim Lewis is here. Hi, Jim. No, I don't think they have. I'm not sure. But South Africa used to be one of the top gold producers, but they're not even in the top 10 anymore. Andreas Buhansen, what is your opinion on inflation being hidden by governments using creative statistics? That definitely happens, and it's going to get worse, I think. John Williams of shadowstats.com, he covers that. Yeah, they have all these gimmicks. Like one of them is substitution. Let's say they have a basket of goods that they count the inflation or the CPI with, and let's say in 2010 they had a fillet steak in that basket, but now fillet steak has gone up so much that they'll use maybe ground beef instead of fillet steak or Spam. They have something called hedonics. Let's say you buy a car for 20,000 pounds today, and then in 5 years that car is 40,000. But they'll say, oh, that car is really only worth 30 because there's been so many improvements. That's hedonics. But the fallacy of that is that unless your wages have gone up to cover that increase in the car, it doesn't make sense, right? So yeah, they're going to keep trying to, you know, there's the old saying, there's lies, damn lies and statistics. I think it was Benjamin Disraeli who said that. I'm worried Biden is going to shut down power grid. Well, in the UK here now, in the last few days, they're talking, the mainstream media, and they're talking about shortages because of the pandemic, people not being able to go to work. I'm concerned that they could turn off the power here as well, because their excuse would be people working in the power plants, they got pinged, they had to isolate, so we had to shut things down. I mean, that would be pretty serious, I would say. Chicken livers will be part of CPI soon. Bill Gates is buying yeah, he is buying a lot of farmland, Bill Gates. Yeah, I was speaking with Arpad of Star Path Academy yesterday, and he said when you have a hyperinflation or a reset, the whole wealth of the nation gets extracted, even the top people at the top, not the ones at the very top. They will hold a lot of wealth and they will increase their wealth, but a reset or a hyperinflation, the purpose of it is to extract as much wealth from the public as possible. And unfortunately, I think that's what's going to happen. Dave L, do you think a World Economic Forum will own nothing and be happy? Could be interpreted as when you have nothing, you will accept anything. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the case already for many people. So yeah, I think they want to convince people that the world is overcrowded, that we have loads of crises, and that you should be thankful for for living and for the government helping you. Chris Conman, thank you for your super chat. Are you still bullish on Newmont mining? Do you think it could be a 10 bagger from current levels? Thanks. I still have Newmont mining and Barrick Gold. The reason I like them, they might not be a 10 bagger because they're quite mature companies, but they pay a dividend. I think the Newmont dividend is over 3%. So if you want some income, gold-backed income, I think it's a good thing. As for the other question that I was answering there about the World Economic Forum, it's a reason why I've always told people to try to get out of debt as much as possible. Try to be self-sufficient. Try to have savings outside the system, because what they're doing to the economies with the lockdowns, with stopping people from working, is very serious. And people who haven't prepared, they're going to fall for, they'll be enticed to become dependent on the government. And I think those are the people who are going to be happy owning nothing. Yeah, those are the people. But if you are, if you're like me, that you've tried all your life to do the right thing, to pay off your debts, to have savings, I think you'll be fine. But it's not guaranteed, because these people they're evil, I would say, and they'll come after everyone. So we need to be careful. Mario, do you watch The Last American Vagabond? No, I haven't. Is that on one of the streaming services? Because I don't really watch TV. I've got Netflix and Amazon Prime, so I'll have a look. I think I've heard of The Last American Vagabond, or is that a YouTube channel? I don't know. Buzz Crowley, thank you for your super chat. Yeah, same thing happened in Ireland. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Hi, Jack Owen. Nice to see you. Jeff McCarthy, let's be Amish. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to do the government, the medical application on the Amish people. I think there's no cases of Amish children being autistic because, well, I'm not going to say why, because they don't get this, right? I don't want to get stricken. So what's this guy here? Let's get rid of this Usman Zafar. Looks like a, let's, yeah, okay. Susan Faust, George Shultz and Kissinger convinced Nixon to take dollar off gold backing. Yeah, and I think Paul Volcker was involved as well. He was undersecretary of the Treasury for international affairs. He was one of the guys advising Nixon. Sandy Svensson, I got a low interest loan and bought silver. Yes, I have debt, but in the future, my loan payments will be as nothing as the dollar devalues. Silver will also go up. Win-win. What do you think? I don't like doing that. Because when you take on debt, you're dealing with the bankers, so and you can never trust them. Yeah, that's how they get you. They tempt you with the easy money. So, but I'm not, don't stop because of me, but I wouldn't do it personally. Technical writing training, our pensions not going to be paid. Well, the state pensions, they're going to be, yeah, they will always pay you, but let's say $100 or £100 will buy you maybe, lunch for two at McDonald's. So yeah, they'll pay you, but it won't be have too much purchasing power. Sorry, because as Greenspan said, the U.S. Treasury will never default because we can always print the money, but it won't be worth much. Flip Van Sacken, 1,000 ounces of gold. He wants to buy 1,000 ounces. Let me tell you how much that is in kilos. That's 30 kilos, or let's say 2.2. That's about 70 pounds. You might need some help to carry that. You might need a friend that you trust to carry the other half. Chris, during the Romanian hyperinflation, prices rose and interest rates went up at the same time. Mortgage rates reached 13%. Do you think they'll raise interest once hyperinflation hits? Yeah, interest rates are going to shoot up. It's not whether the central bank might keep the short-term rates low, but the market will completely, they'll sell, interest rates, long-term interest rates go up because the market for bonds goes down, the prices collapse. Yeah, interest rates to go into the hundreds of percent. So, and the other thing as well, you'll be so concerned. You have so little money that can buy anything. You won't be able to pay off your mortgage, even if the mortgage is written off by the hyperinflation. You'll be too worried about getting food, I would say. That's what I understood from RPAD and from StarPath Academy. Graham Hobbs, he just got a final settlement pension from 1979, 630 pounds. I guess it was a company you worked for not that long, maybe. I don't know what happened there, what they did with that money. Doesn't seem that much. You are part right. Washington was burnt to the ground in the war of 1812. Yeah, the British burnt the White House, the War of 1812. And you kind of wonder why Americans want to have a special relationship with the British. I don't understand it. I know I'm in the UK, but the people who helped America gain their independence uh, were the French. If the French hadn't helped, uh, I think the Americans wouldn't have won the Battle of Yorktown. There's a French fleet that came from France, and without their help, I don't think what was his name, Cornwallis, would have been defeated. So if there's any nation that the Americans should have a special relationship with, I would say it would be France, not Britain. But that's like a contrarian view. Jim Marshall in London on Wednesday. Fancy a coffee? Unfortunately, on Wednesday, I'm interviewing someone in the afternoon, someone from the States. And yeah, so I can't come into the, when you say London, you mean the city, or because I am in London, but Greater London. Yeah, the Russians helped as well. And I think the Russians also helped the Union during the Civil War. Bjorn Andreas Bo Hansen. I highly recommend this channel, by the way. He has been on my channel for an interview. He says electricity price just increased a lot here in Norway. I hear is going to go up to 300% by 300%. I think it's going to go up here too as well. A lot of it is just to do with this climate change, with this green agenda. Yeah, they always screw the public with these things, unfortunately. Edward McLaughlin, City of London exempt from Basel III. I don't think they're exempt from the whole Basel III thing. It's just to do with precious metals, because Basel III is not just about gold, it's about banking regulations. But yeah, they gave them an exemption. It's not very clear what the outcome was there. So I think I saw even Alistair McLeod is a bit confused. Will US private pensions fail? Well, it depends what you're invested in. If you're, yeah, I recommend you watch my interview with Star Path Academy. In a hyperinflation, uh, businesses have a really tough time making economic calculations, so they close down. They could fail. So it depends. If you have your private pension in commodity companies and gold miners, you could be okay. But who knows? Basel III collectors, that's been in effect, I think, since 2010 or 11, Basel III. I think what you're talking about is the rules for the City of London or the LBMA in relationship to gold. That's right. Chris, yes, you'd be worried about food, but also some people had to borrow at 13% in fear that home prices will continue rising. They'll never own a home. Circle the wagons, personal income tax is illegal and unconstitutional. Yeah, I've heard that argument before. In the UK, they passed the income tax after the Napoleonic Wars. And they said, well, this is going to be a temporary tax to pay for the Napoleonic Wars. And over 200 years later, we still have the income tax. You see, that's what governments do. That's why all these new rules that we've had in the last 16 months, they say it's going to be temporary, but I'd think again about it because governments hate, they love power. And the more rules they have, you know, they'll try to keep it permanently. Helsinki, thank you for your super chat. Robert Prechter, financial author and stock market analyst, explains. Yeah, Elliott Wave. Yeah, I've read his stuff years ago. Long bear scenario, never seen before in 2021. What happens to gold and silver in this scenario? Well, Robert Prechter has been calling for this bear scenario since 2000. So the way I see it, the Fed is inflating the system so much, and the other central banks, that you have to measure the stock market versus real money. So I would measure it versus gold. I think that's where Robert Prechter gets it wrong. I'm not like questioning his ability to do Elliott wave calculations or analysis, but I think the way the dollar could, the stock market could lose a lot of value is versus real money. So we could have the Dow at 50,000, but then the ounce of gold at 50,000, and the Dow gold ratio would be down to 1, while in 1990, in 2000, that Dow to gold ratio was at 44. So that will be the collapse versus real money. But versus confetti, how can you measure the stock market versus confetti? So I think the deflation will be versus real money, not versus the fiat dollar. That's how I see it. Just pars. Gold is real money because Mario owns 100 million pounds of it. Yeah, I wish. Yeah, Jim Marshall says money is nothing, just be happy. Well, the way I look at money is in a modern specialized economy like we live in, we need money because none of us are, well, very few of us are subsistent farmers. We can't live on our own in the countryside. So money is necessary. So if you don't have money, you have to barter. So yeah, but money is just a representation of our efforts and the value we create. So I kind of agree with Jim, but we still need it. Okay, I'll take one or two more questions and then I'll sign off. Yeah, Jim Marshall, Billy likes, the dentist sticks. They're like, they're good for his teeth, but they're also quite nice. I give it to him once a day. Patrick Gelbke, could the paper price of precious metals go down to zero? Not really. I wouldn't say so, because what happened to oil was that during the lockdown, there was no space, there was no storage space for the oil to be stored in Oklahoma. I forgot the name in Oklahoma where they store the oil for the WTI futures contract. So people didn't want any oil there because it was so expensive to store it because of all the lockdowns that they tried to get rid of it as because they were going to pay more for storage than for the oil. I don't think there's that problem with gold and silver. So with that, I'm going to wish you all a great rest of the weekend and a great week coming up. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for all the questions, comments, super chats. And if you're new to the channel, think about subscribing as well. Take care. Just